July 13th, isn't that something? And please stand and let's have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can we have a roll call, please, from the clerk?
Chairman Larry, I'm sorry. Just one second.
Can we have, oh, I'm sorry,
No, it's okay. Chairman Phil Franco,
here?
Member James Hoster. Please let the record show Mr. Hoster's absent this evening. Member Robert Ascott.
Here.
Member Pat Rogers.
Here.
Member Kathy Todd. Thank you.
Okay. The next,
Oh, I'm sorry, and please let the record show that Mr. Barnett is absent.
Next is the approval of the minutes of the last meeting, and I have a bit of a problem with it in that I've never seen the documents that I have to sign, which become legal documents in the court, and I actually haven't had it. Here's the controversy. The minutes that are given to us are not verbatim.
True.
Does the video take precedence over what the minutes are? Because there's a difference. I was told, now nobody's here to give me advice. I was told that the minutes take precedence. And I-
Usually written word will take precedence over anything else, but I'm not sure what the laws are now with the increased video. But yeah, there were a few things that weren't exactly as verbatim type things.
Can we table approval of the minutes?
Sure.
And again, I don't have anybody here
Yeah,
to
yeah,
give
do
me
it and then
advice
feel
on it,
comfortable about it.
but I'd like to table it until,
Next meeting?
We've got to get this taken care of, so that would give you time to look at what you wanted to look at and
Okay.
find what you wanted to find. The thing is we don't have a next meeting. That's the problem. We would have to schedule one specifically for that purpose and to get these resolutions approved.
again,
You know, actually, I don't know if we have to have, well, yeah, we do have to have a meeting for approval. That's correct. I'm sorry. Yeah.
yeah, and I don't have anybody here to give me advice. Again, I've never seen these documents done, and I've been on this committee for a long time. I think we're all aware that the last meeting that we had is a pretty serious issue in town. It more than likely will survive in court, and it's my signature on it, and I'd like to get a little bit of advice. And it involves all of us. We've been sued 3 times by the individual that represented the complainant. 3 times.
Well, isn't that something that we should refer to the attorney?
Yeah, but he's not here.
Okay. But I'm just
That
saying-
was my point.
Yeah.
I don't have any advice.
I can give you advice, but it may not be good. But, yeah, table it. It's safe.
Hey,
that way.
you all know what I do for a living. It's a negligence-oriented society. And I'm reluctant to do this or to compromise the city.
Sure.
So if you don't mind, I'd entertain a motion to table the minutes.
I'll make a motion to table it.
I'll second it.
Are there any objections? Show the motion passed.
Yeah. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure. Questions? Go ahead. Dave.
Tammy,
Yes, ma'am.
would it be possible to have a quick meeting before a council meeting? Or do you-
As long as everybody's in agreement, I don't see
That's a
that
good
there's.
idea. Thank
I
you.
think that's a great idea. I think that maybe we could do it, since we just had the meeting last night, maybe we could do one next week. I do have one scheduled for Tuesday night, but we could do it Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, whenever. I can always give you guys a call in a couple of
I
days.
think our suggestion is before the council meeting, 2 weeks from now. Is that correct?
Mhm.
Okay.
Because everybody else will be here anyway.
Right, okay. So you mean directly before the council meeting, the
Directly
same
Yes.
night?
before, if
Mhm.
everybody would agree to that, and I'm.
I think that they have scheduled, prior to the next council meeting, I believe that they have a workshop scheduled. I just need to make sure, but I can call everybody tomorrow with a
Okay.
final word on that.
We're not allowed to talk to one another outside of this.
You're
to
really
see.
not supposed to, no.
Okay. Okay, never mind. Thank you.
But I will call everybody tomorrow with a yay or a nay.
Again, I'm very
on-
concerned. It's a litigious,
Sure. And I understand
Problem.
completely. I don't want you to
And I
sign
just wanna
anything you're
do it
not
correctly.
comfortable with.
thank you. So we're tabling the minutes. Whoop. And we're here tonight. Anybody that's going to speak on the item before the board, please stand up and the city clerk will swear you in. We're doing a variance for Abigail Court Senior Apartments by Pine Hill Partners LLC.
Will you be speaking as well, sir? Please raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm that the information that you're about to provide is the truth and the whole truth to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Thank you.
And your name?
Larry Longenecker, 6455 Powers Avenue,
Where?
Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay. You're on the floor.
We are here to request a parking reduction to a senior living facility. This site is heavily wooded with some very nice oak trees. And if you allow this reduction, we will create larger buffers with the neighbors. We will also protect some very nice oak trees. The use does not need 2 spaces per unit. In my submittal, we listed several other properties around Florida, and we average about 1.1 to 1.2 spaces per unit. And those parking lots still sit half empty, so we don't feel the need to increase the heat island effect on the neighborhood for unnecessary asphalt and pavement. So if y'all could agree to our request, we'd be grateful. Thank you.
Anybody else? Sandy?
Where are the reduction in parking lot going to be? What streets are we talking about?
Sandy? Name, address? Thank you. Miss Applefield is a direct neighbor.
Sandy Applefield, 5033 Waterside Drive, Port Richey. Just wanted to know where the streets are that we're talking about, this reductions in the parking lot.
May I present her a drawing?
Certainly. I do believe the address is on Washington Street, is it not?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, this is north. This is Pine, Washington. This is the church. Here's your little neighborhood park in the triangle right here.
Oh, I see, okay.
And we are asking to not pave all of the spaces to save a lot of trees between the residents here. We're saving some large oaks here and a lot of trees along the street to give buffer for the parking lot. We have to increase the parking, we're gonna have to cut down a lot of these beautiful trees to make it fit.
And what are you building?
We're building a senior living facility, 3 stories, just for 55 and older. In the bottom level, we will have a hair salon, we'll have a TV room, activity rooms. Mostly the residents that live here, they just stay here. They don't like to go out in the heat, they don't like to go anywhere. So we're providing everything here. The only time this parking lot gets filled up is Mother's Day and Christmas. Most of the time, this parking lot will remain empty because a lot of these people may have 1 car, a lot of them don't drive. So it's for the elderly.
I see where it's happening. Thank you.
You can have this.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, actually, she's a large property owner in the area, and we should have given her a copy of this. She's very active in the community.
Are there any other questions you'd like me to address?
I have a question, but it really has nothing to do with parking, and it probably should have been handled in planning and zoning.
Okay.
Both entrances are on Washington.
Yes.
If you have something that blocks the traffic on Washington, can there be an emergency entrance exit on Pine Hill? Is there any way to do that without creating a real problem?
In the future, so the property's 9 acres. Can I give you a drawing? Do you have
Well,
the
I've
drawing?
got this.
Okay.
And
The
I should
northerly
I
side.
should preface this with saying I own a house that's diagonally across the street from the southwest corner.
Okay.
So,
We had a traffic study done, and the traffic study, that's suggested that we use 2 drives. If we are congested to just 1 driveway,
that's not what I'm talking about.
you
I'm
would rather have
talking-
another.
I'm talking about an emergency only entrance, say, on Pine Hill that comes behind the little pond?
That would be a future phase, should the owner develop the remaining 3 acres on the northerly side. Then yes, we would have a driveway entrance on Pine Hill Road at that time in the future, should they decide to expand. They really would like to leave the natural lake that's there as a amenity and not build around it. 'Cause it's, when they clean the weeds and dress it up, it's gonna be a very lovely vista for the elderly to just enjoy.
Anybody else wish to speak? If not, we'll bring it back to the board. Interesting question, I never thought of. Any consideration on that question? Is it a deal
What-
breaker?
What type of emergency were you thinking?
If there's an accident on Washington and somebody in here needs an ambulance, how can they get in, you know? It's a worst-case scenario,
Yeah.
but it could happen.
The issue before us is reduction in parking.
That's why I said it has nothing to do with this. It's just
Yeah,
something.
and I understand that. How do we get that to the building department, or are we in a position that we have to include that? Incidentally, it's one of the better presentations that I've ever seen.
Thank you.
Definitely.
It actually proves your point, in my opinion.
I actually brought the engineered design plans for the site, if anyone would like
You're
to
the
look.
first one, thank you.
Mr. Franco, Chairman Franco, excuse me for the interruption, sir. Ms. Hanson did advise that that would be addressed during the site planning process.
Okay, you're gonna have to satisfy Pat.
That's fine.
Are you all right?
That's fine.
I will work on that, ma'am.
And again, I think it was well thought out. We welcome the community, to the community, this type of project.
If I might add, the flood zone elevation on this property
I
is
saw it.
elevation 11 and 12.
Right.
The elevation for the existing pond, where you would suggest this driveway to come in, would be, it's elevation 5. To build this drive that you were asking about, I would have to add 7 feet of dirt. You know, that would just totally just
Destroy
obliterate
it.
any trees,
Right.
any vista. It's really not a feasible entrance, or, you know, we've considered that as an entrance, but it wasn't feasibly engineered. It didn't make sense. So we have our 2 driveways on Pine. Our traffic study, there's really,
Washington, not
oh
Pine.
yeah, Washington is not the traffic numbers weren't overbearing. This development will not increase traffic load based on the use. It's seniors. They don't travel at rush hour. They go out and do their little running around in the middle of the day, late in the morning, when traffic is at its minimum. Because the elderly people don't like to deal with rush hour. And we know this because we've been doing developments like this for 30 years. So we really feel confident in our design.
Again, we're not addressing that issue, and the city clerk has advised us that they will certainly look into it. It's a square property. I think there's more than one area to get in and out.
Yes, sir, and Ms. Hanson has made notes to bring that to the building official when
Good.
the time arises.
Are any other questions on the motion before us? If not, I'll ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve.
I'll second it.
Any objection to the motion? So the motion passed.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, let me say this too, it is, I've been here a long time, so is Phil. It is the best well-prepared, backed up that I've seen come across this board. The neat thing is, what you guys have done, you've answered all the questions prior to us having the board here. With the exception with the thought about the emergency entrance exit.
Yeah.
But it's just very well done, and keep up work like that. You know, I'm sure you already know what you're doing. You know you did it well, don't you?
I just hope when I turn in my engineering plans that I get the same response. And that brings up a question for me. I know we have council in 2 weeks.
Mhm.
Would I be allowed to turn in my first 6 sets before then, or do I need to wait till council to turn in my first 6 set for site plan?
You have to wait for council's approval, and then at that time, I can take them from you that evening. But but
Oh.
you'd have to fill out an application and get everything in set. So if it's all set and they approve it,
I will bring a $500 check. Thank you.
So to the members, please, if you wouldn't mind. Mr. Franco has already brought up the situation that he would like to look further into with these 6 resolutions. Normally, we would have gone ahead and read them tonight to approve them, so that all the members were here to hear the resolutions. We do have one tonight, so I was thinking that when we make the new meeting to come back about the minutes, that we could also bring both of these, providing your questions have been answered, and go ahead and read the resolutions that night. At least the one for this gentleman.
This is a new resolution in addition to the 6 I
That's the
got.
one for tonight, sir, the one that's in your hand.
May I have a copy?
Absolutely,
this?
sir, right here.
Oh, I have no problem in approving this right now.
Oh, certainly. All right, if you would not mind, can we read
I
the
have
resolution?
no problem in
No,
signing
not
the
tonight.
statement to
Sign it.
approve this.
All right,
Sure,
then let
name
me
it.
go ahead and enter it into the record. Mr. Cassidy, just for a second, by reading the title only, if you wouldn't mind.
Right.
This is regarding resolution number 1607. It's a resolution by the City of Port Richey Board of Adjustment setting forth their recommendation on a variance request for Abigail Court Limited. It's regarding a 30% reduction in the amount of required parking spaces, 7850 Washington Street, section 22-94, subsection C, subsection 5, on parcel number 32, 2516 0050 003 000010. And then I would be asking for a motion.
Motion to approve the signing of the document for the presentation to the council, the exact wording of the motion.
Motion to approve resolution number 16-07.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is that my second?
Do I have any objections to the motion? Show the motion passed.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Any other business before us?
No, I'm still excited about this. I get
I
excited about
wish
parking.
stuff like this came before the board all the
The
time.
really neat thing is, I go to Home Depot an awful lot, go to Walmart here and there. I've never seen anywhere near the spaces ever being filled up. You know, Home Depot's terrible because they just move out of the parking lot. They got their, mulch and everything else out there. But I think we do actually oversize the need, but we don't have a study like this to say what we really need. If the Walmarts and so on would hire you guys, which I'm sure you wouldn't mind, you could present it in another
Grateful.
manner and maybe save them a lot of money.
Hmm.
Just a thought.
You're good.
No, we thank you.
Thank you. Again,
Hi.
if anybody here does not get a chance to be part of the site plan review process, and you would like to see our design plans, they're here for you to look at.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was thinking about making a reservation for Phil.
I'm that old now.
Putting you in.
Okay, I
I'll
had a
second
motion,
that.
I had a second, and there was no objection to the motion, so show it so moved. We are adjourned.
Did you want to first discuss with the anything that we had discussed with you, your concern?
Hey, Mr.
Minutes.
Franco, Chairman.
Hi, am I allowed to do that
Hello.
with you, or does it have to go here?
Say it again.
Am I allowed? Oh, okay, we'll do it in that format, thank you. The concern of not signing this was, we know it's a very litigious,
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you
Okay, I'll
very
bet you
much.
do.
I have never seen a document like this, although I'm told it was done for the Freggers, and I didn't see the document signed. I've been around here for a while. It's gonna be my name on it, it's gonna be litigious, and I wanna make sure, number one, the written record is the record, not the video, is that correct?
The
Audio.
Audio. Oh, it's a video.
the full record would be the video with the audio, okay? That's the full record. Now referring to this case here or
No,
referring to the
no,
other?
we're
one?
referring to, you guys can go, thank you very much.
Oh, you've made your decision here, okay.
Yeah.
I thought I was interrupting.
They're
I
fine, we got it
apologize.
signed, we'll pass
Okay.
this along to.
They're happy with the results.
With
Second
regard,
part, if you will.
let's see, the proper procedure, which hasn't been filed in the past, so we didn't
Trying
have.
not to get sued
So we're
again.
doing it right this time, because I expect some possible issues. So the proper procedure is that you hold your hearing, okay? And then you're supposed to come back and approve the minutes, okay? And then the resolution reflects the decision of the minutes. And if it does not, then you can discuss it and change it, you know what I mean? And you have the authority to sign it in accordance with what the minutes say. So you really should have another meeting, actually, technically.
That's what we
You know,
decided.
where you look at those minutes to make sure that the vote's correct, because all this is the conclusion, you know, of the, your 6 votes. That's exactly what they're asking for, no more, no less, and whether you approved it, denied it, or approval with conditions are the 3 choices that you have, provisos, or we'll approve that, but you have to do A, B, and C, because if the city council approves any of the variances, they will take this document here, along with something signed by the applicant, as well as those portion of the minutes, and that's what gets filed with the property forever and ever. And so the variance is always there. That's the proper procedure, so I'm trying to do it right this time. So it'd probably be worth looking at, and I really want you to get it right. And I can't tell you what to put there, but we prepared these resolutions looking at the vote that was made and the application request, and this is the decision. So if it's not right, make it right, whatever you decide. Especially the one with the conditions, okay?
Right, I'm almost of the opinion everything had a condition. I just
Well,
don't know.
well,
if
I
it-
didn't pick that up in the vote, and that becomes the problem.
And that's my question.
That's right. Go ahead.
There was not a single issue that didn't have a condition attached to it.
Well, that should have been in the motion.
I'm almost positive we didn't include it in the motion.
Did or did not?
Did not.
Okay, well, that's a problem.
That's why I want to look at every one of them and see if there was.
Yeah, 'cause
There's
that-
also an issue, and I told the city clerk, I don't know whether you people agree, I very forcefully asked them, who was involved in telling you you could do this? None of that was-
I watched it.
None of it was in the minutes. I'd like it to be part of it, because I think there might be a further issue.
Well, you can put it in the minutes, but if it ever became litigious, because this is a quasi-judicial hearing you're holding.
No, it isn't.
Someone would bring in the full.
No, we're not.
We used to
The
be.
council is.
Oh, I understand that, but there's a question as to whether they'll look at this as a quasi-judicial hearing also. Do you understand what I mean? And the council, you know, believe me, I've litigated 3 of these already, okay? And you know, the council really, when you give her a recommendation of approval, you know, they're just accepting that or denying that. They don't have to literally have it on that if they didn't want to, okay? Whereas when you deny it, it's an appeal. So on the ones you approve, you know what I mean, those are actually quasi-judicial hearings, do you understand? But nobody appeals them, they're not gonna end up in court, but technically on the ones you deny, they are. And so you really want to be as formal in here. Now, no court's going to expect you to, you know, take testimony, cross-examination, and all of that. The way you're doing it, I watched it, is just fine from a legal standpoint. I've tried 3 of these cases for the city. But with regard to the, like, if there's provisions you made in discussion, well, we're going to agree to that variance, but we're going to want to see A, B, and C, well, then that needs to be put in the motion.
Well, we can't go back and make a new motion.
You
can
can't
we?
do that, no. So now you gotta, that's the way it works. In other words, anything before that's just conversation. The vote's the vote.
So the next question would be,
Does that make sense? In other words, so
Yeah.
if you're saying, look, we'll grant you, I can't remember the details of this, but we'll let you, you know, not have the landscaping requirement over there, but we're gonna want you to put some other trees in or
and
something.
that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, I realize that. Well, you gotta put that in the motion now. I move to approve this with the following conditions, you understand? But that wasn't done.
I thought we.
Well, we did that on the,
You did it on one of them, oh yeah, and I really want you to look at what I put at those, because this one here about the conditions of, you know, an appropriate sidewalk at Old Post Road, and reimburse the city for that, and provide landscape in accordance with the code, okay? And comply with any drainage requirements, including not limited to swales required by city or state government entities. I mean, I picked that up off the motion, but you could make that more specific if that's what the motion intended.
I also, in the discussion, very pointedly asked them about Swiftmo. they denied anything. My understanding is Swift Mud's turned them down twice. And last week, they put together a special group of people to argue the point with Swift Mud. They were not honest with us.
They weren't what?
Honest.
Well, those are,
I mean, I asked them specifically,
No,
has
the-
there
the-
been any issues with
well,
Swift Mud?
I guess the other thing I could tell you is if you feel they're not being credible, then that's reflected in your vote.
What the, we've already voted.
That's my, I understand that. So my point is, you're telling me that
Why
you
the
didn't
heck
think
do we
that.
have a lawyer if they won't give us that kind of advice?
Yeah, do you understand what I'm saying? I'm
Wait
saying
a
I
minute,
can't change that now.
I understand exactly
Yeah.
what you're saying.
So if you had said to me, if I was sitting here during that time, look, you know, if we don't feel that we believe him or that's not true or something like that, well then, if someone you think is incredible or lying to you, then generally you would deny that request for a variance, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
I would think so, and,
Well, that's-
and
that's-
there's further issue too. The parking of the building itself, they agreed to put landscaping in and buffers, parking buffers. None of that appears on their drawings.
Yeah, I guess it works like this. When you're going, you don't, there's no requirement whatsoever that they have any drawings or about anything, anybody. Okay, they don't have to have a site plan. They can bring to you artist renditions or even a site plan. This is what we intend to do. But as the Board of Adjustment, they're seeking a variance from certain requirements of our code. Okay, if they want to bring something in and say, this is what we're thinking of doing. Now, usually they bring something because they say, well, we want a variance because we don't want to put in landscaping. And you say, well, what's it going to look like, the building? Well, we haven't decided yet. Well, that might be a reason not to grant it to them, okay? So that's why they bring in things. But there's no requirement that they have a site plan or anything. As a matter of fact, if you grant the variance, that goes with the property. Somebody a week later can come in and buy the property and build it. They're just going to look at the variance.
We were told by the lawyer that a variance only extends for 6 months, were we not?
Well, if they do not start construction within 6 months,
Well,
they have to come back.
But the variance will go with the property.
That's
You
not what we
understand?
were told.
Variance will go with the property. Variance is permanent.
But, well, the variance may be permanent, but if they don't actually do it,
Somebody else could do
It's a
it.
6 months.
if it's within 6 months.
Oh, I don't know about that.
And I could be wrong too.
No,
That's what-
that,
I'm
it's
working
only
off
6
memory.
months
That's
with the
kind
length of a permit. Once you grant the variance, if you want to grant the variance and you grant that variance, it's there forever.
I'll have to study
That was
it.
not my
That's okay.
understanding.
Not my understanding
Yeah, I was
either.
gonna say, that's probably a PUD you're talking about, when you're
No,
putting
no, no, we're going
requirements
by
on-
what the lawyer told us. We asked him the question.
Does-
We're telling you that that was not our impression.
Oh, no, in a PUD, it'd be a different story, something like that, where they want is 300 units instead of 200. It's only gonna last for so long until they develop. But if somebody asks for a variance, like we want a variance so we can build 5 stories tall, you know, in a 3-story area, you know what I mean? You granted that variance, there it is.
It's there.
There forever.
Is it in a way possible that we could include a, being as how we are an advisory board, a summary of conditions, even though they're not in the resolution, would it still hold weight?
In what way? I kind of
Well,
missed what you're
I'm saying if, in the minutes,
Yeah.
there were discussions of things, you know, having, you know, plantings and so on, but it didn't show up in the resolutions. So could we also add to, and be as how, from an advisory standpoint, not a judicial standpoint,
Yes, I was
advisory.
hoping you would, yes. The answer is, you could do that by empowering the chairman to show up and say, look, you know what I mean, we had discussion on this, you know what I mean, I want to explain our decision, you can do that, with whatever weight it carries, but for sure,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
Thank
vote
you.
we empower you.
I
Yeah,
was
I'm
curious
hoping-
about that
yeah, and
last
I
night.
suspect that's what you'll do, that's why I was glad to see. you at the
Again,
last-
the other issue was just what we were given, I don't know whether you guys caught it, the rendering of the building itself. If you look at what we were giving, the building's either 10'9" or 139 feet. We don't know which is which. If it's within a 75-foot range, it has to be set back 35 feet. That's another issue. And we don't know that, yet we gave them permission
Permission for what?
to put parking in. I don't know whether we gave them permission to build the building.
Well, no, all you're doing, when you say you gave them permission for parking, you know what I mean, they're requesting, you know, a different kind of, they want some sort of waiver of the
Of the
parking requirements,
Right.
okay? A
Right.
waiver, an exception, a variance, okay? And you have to determine whether a hardship exists. Hardship cannot be caused by the applicant, it must be caused by something unique to the property or what they're doing. Okay, so they say, look, normally, you know what I mean, we don't want to put in 85 parking spots. We want to build something that's this big and put in 14% less, okay? Well, that's up to you. I mean, if they haven't shown you what they're gonna do or some reason why and given you enough information, you know, you wouldn't grant it. What's the reason you don't grant it? In other words, once you say they can put in you gotta remember, they're not bound by their site plans, they're not bound by any artist rendition. They get the variance, they got the variance. They can change it all day long.
We continually advised them that they were gonna meet building codes. And that
They
was
always have
all-
to be, they have to meet building codes
Okay, there were a
regardless.
lot of conditions from us.
We have lots of conditions on that. Yeah, they're looking for, to waive some of those conditions. That's why they're before you, in both the building codes, mostly in the zoning code. That's why they're coming here.
I don't
They
think
don't
we
want to
have any-
follow the rules, they want them changed, which is fine, but if you're gonna say, well, if you're gonna change that, I only want you to change that if you do this, that's a proviso. If you're gonna build a 6-story building, we'll let you do that. Well, we don't know. Well, that's the only time we're gonna let you do that. That's what gets written in here.
Yeah, we have to be very careful about our wording in the resolution.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing.
Well, I wish we'd have gotten some help here.
Yeah, I apologize for that. You know, I know you're here, you don't get paid and.
Because we
what's
asked
all
those
the-
questions of them.
Yes.
Yeah. That's how, I mean, that's what you're doing here. So in other words, if somebody comes in and says, hey, I want 20% less parking requirement there, okay? And you're gonna say, well, you know, what are you doing there? You know, I mean, well, we'll allow you to have 20% less, but only if you do that. And I presume that here, this is a senior center, right? And they've come in, you know, and they're gonna build a senior center. There's nothing been built up there, okay? But the senior centers, generally, it's a little different. Parking requirements are there for families. Most people aren't gonna have cars, so you maybe.
But they
you
did a
grant
real
it.
good presentation.
Right, so maybe, I presume that's what they did. Well, I guess the answer is that you're gonna say, all right, we'll give you 25% if it is a retirement center. That needs to be put in here.
Wow, we didn't do that.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, but we didn't do that.
I got that, but I wouldn't worry about it too much because they've paid impact fees and everything else. They're gonna do that, but that's how this works.
Do we ever have somebody here to advise us that the motion has to be extended a bit? We're laymen.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that totally. It's kind of why I came by. Mr. Pollock's out of town and,
Well, he,
you know.
And we begged him to be here, just so you know.
We're trying to
There
ask
wasn't
what's
much
gonna
help
happen in the
anyway.
future so that we don't make a mistake and.
Well, what's gonna
Anyway,
happen,
was he?
what's gonna happen in the future is, I'm trying to get around you having an extra meeting just to approve the minutes and approve the resolution. Do you understand what I mean? And, maybe just, you know,
yeah.
when you make your decision, in other words, that with this resolution will be in front of you, a draft of it, because we know what the variance requests are. And then you sit here and really you wanna make your motions in light of this, and then if you have changes, you can scribble them in, and then we'll prepare it again, and the board can authorize you to sign it the next
I'll
day,
bring a
so we
point.
can move the
I
things
just
forward.
signed something that was put before me, the words from the city that did not include if you build a nursing home.
Right.
That was not in there.
Right. Well, I assure you, if they didn't do it and someone else came in, we'd probably not make them sue us and have to do that, but technically, the
Yeah,
only
I
reason.
understand what you're saying.
Yeah, do you understand me? If you're building a nursing home, we'll let you do 20%.
I wish
less.
that's what the document said to me.
Well, we did approve, how can I say this? We did approve what they requested, and they requested it because
Parking.
of, and you know, that's all.
Yeah, and keep in mind, you know what I mean, if someone came in and they changed their mind next week, put a site plan in for a non-senior citizen center, we wouldn't give it to them.
No.
You understand me? We would've said, look, here's the story, it was granted under those terms, blah, 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 and that would be a lawsuit, but technically I'm giving you the very good way to do it. You understand me? Like, the only reason you gave it to them was because of that issue,
Yeah.
which makes all the sense in the world.
Again, we didn't have any help from the city
Yeah.
putting that in the written document. And no fault of yours, you didn't have a lawyer to tell you to do it.
I understand.
Well, the really neat thing on a board like this, the chairman's the only one liable, the rest of us have side.
We have plenty of insurance, no one's ever been sued or.
That guy got up at the meeting and said he
We
owned
have
5
OD
properties, hell, I got
insurance
18.
Yeah, and courts have gone
Yeah.
through this before, and they've looked at these things and everything like that. But when you have 6 or 7 variances, you understand what I mean?
I-
6 variances.
another point.
On sensitive issue, that's why I
I very thoroughly asked them, who told you you could do this? Did you really buy the property with the idea that you would get this passed? I mean, they're very pointed questions.
Yeah, in case
Very
not to
direct.
hold everyone,
No,
but
no.
just so you understand first of all, just so you know, 2 things. Number 1 is, in the last 4 years, we have not had a permanent building official except for 2 times for very brief
We
stints.
understand.
That's unacceptable. It's amazing how much building's going on around here and how much work that is. You need someone to run that office. These ladies they've been told what to do yet, I mean, we're coming in here trying to do things right. And believe me, they're more than willing to work hard and get them done right. I work with them every day now. With regard to, in other words, what was I gonna say, I can't remember my other point, but
Permanent building official,
Oh.
the ladies are doing everything they possibly can, but they don't have the guidance that they need.
yeah, I guess, you see, once you have a permanent building official, I'm sorry, here's what I'll tell you, here's how it works. Literally today, you were there, right? We do all that. Someone comes to the city, and I've done 2 of these in the last 5 weeks, and things are happening in this city that want to develop a major parcel on 19, okay? It's a public record, I'll tell you, it's a Walgreens, okay, they want to put one right next to the Honda. This is the process, just so you get a feel for what happens before it gets to
Do you have
you.
a corner for a Walgreens somewhere?
Right, well, yeah, we'll tell you.
Next to
Ocean
Wawa.
Honda, if you look at an Ocean Honda to the right, they're gonna put a Walgreens, it's a common ownership of the building, and they're gonna, so they come in here, they bring their engineers here, and they usually have a wholesale pitch, we have what's called the
Hey,
Development
if anybody
Review
wants to
Committee.
leave, they can leave.
So everybody in the city, all the heads of all departments, myself, these ladies, we all sit in there and they give us this sales pitch of what they wanna do. And they wanna know, what kind of requirements does the city have? You have your own water department, this is what we're planning to do. And we all sit there, Chief of Police says, well, I don't think they'll have many shoplifters there. That's gonna be his concern. Pat's there with the water department, we got a 6-inch line over there and a 3-inch line over here. These are what your impact fee is gonna be. What do you think council's gonna do, you know what I mean, blah, 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 blah. And then literally in the conversation, it comes up, well, we're probably gonna be short a few parking spaces, Now administratively, we can cut a few. Now remember, it's in an area where if there wasn't any parking, it's kind of a non-issue. But they said, what's the variance procedure? Like, how quick is it? You know what I mean? I said, well, a couple of months, you gotta put in an application, it automatically goes before this. And you tell them these things, and they know, everybody knows. So in other words, what happened, I presume, is with the other one, is they came in and went to a development review committee, which is, it's not a committee, it's just, the city comes and we do that because we want people to come in, and we sit down, we don't want them filing something and then it's the wrong way. We tell them, this is how we do site plans, we have engineers that aren't here, it's gonna take this long, you're gonna pay for this fee, that fee, we charge them a lot of money, we tell them what our process is. So everybody's on the same page. Now, what happened there, I presume, is they came in, and they said, we're gonna have any problems with any of this stuff?
That's what they told us.
Well, I'll tell you this, when we sat there today, and the first statement is, here's our code, it's in Muni Code, go check it out, you're gonna have a problem, we follow the law here. You know what I mean? Well, if we went in for a variance, what do you think council would do about that? We'll tell them that, yeah, I think if it's something, we'll tell them that, but nobody's saying every other word is you gotta follow that code. That's the way it is everywhere. That's how normal cities work. And then they leave here, and sometimes, I don't think you're gonna get any variances on the Walgreens, okay? But, and that's how it works all the time. So, there's no question about it. But any promises made there? There shouldn't be any promises made there. They're not allowed to. I'm the city manager, I can't promise that my building official, I can't interfere in there, the building official, don't worry about that, we're not gonna enforce that. Well, you can't do those things. You can't make those promises, it's
Part
against
of
the
his
law.
presentation was it's been allowed in the past.
Different issue.
Sure.
Yeah.
It might have been,
Definition.
that don't make it right or
He
legal.
might have been told, well, that's okay.
Probably
Yeah,
was.
variances do not
Probably was.
set precedents.
Yeah.
They don't.
Are you aware that even the violations of the several properties that have already been developed, they have 2 years to come back into compliance?
Which,
We could literally tear down Gildogs, because they haven't come into compliance after 2 years of building.
I'd have to look at the specifics to
Sure.
get into that, but, you know, it's kind of hard now, because, you know, I'm interviewing building officials, I want to get that department running again. And I kind of feel sad for people that are doing certain things under promises that were done, probably that shouldn't be done, so, you know, gotta be sensitive on both sides of that, but, you know, law is the law, I can't, you know, if you want to grant variances, that's up to you. You know what I mean? I have no power to look the other way. City manager has no power to look the other way, no matter what I want.
Tonight's an example of us not having enough direction.
Yeah.
Because what we signed did not include the statements that you said should be included.
Sure.
In that, we approved this variance if you are building a nursing home.
Right. Now, I think you could enforce that if they tried to do it otherwise, and like, they bring out the whole record and everything, and, you know, you'd probably win that argument, but it's much better to put it right there. You gotta remember, they could change their mind. Remember, when you put a site plan in, it's just a building. It's not until they start using it, I know if there's elderly people there or not. You understand what I mean? That site plan just a building. Use is a different issue. Yeah.
Well, it's been fun.
And do they know that? Believe me, these builders are slick. They know.
Yeah.
Everybody knows.
Yeah.
And again, you're telling us that we still are quasi-judicial?
I've spoke to Mr. Public about that. Do you consider both of them? And he says, I try to do it that way, but definitely the council's is. A quasi-judicial hearing means that certain rules come into effect where it's not a proceeding in court, but you have to allow the cross-examination of the applicant. And do you understand what I mean? And so you can, if people that testify, you can take evidence. You know, the applicant generally just hands you the package, right? That's your evidence. But, you know, we had some of these here years ago where it was 300 or 400 documents at the city council meeting offered in evidence. You probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I
And-
thought the Board of Adjustments was a
It
quasi-judicial
is.
board.
It is,
No, it
it
isn't.
is, yeah. I'm trying to spell it to Ms.
I
Franco.
think Mayor Taylor dissolved that board, and there's a difference.
Oh, you thought you talking about the Board of Adjustment, or
Yeah, Board of Adjustment.
it's quite, yeah.
No, she dissolved that issue.
Well, it used to be that what we would decide is the way it would be. It would not need approval from council. I mean, that was
That's
it.
in the chart, that's not, I don't think that's ever
That,
changed.
I can't remember, I was thinking it was that Clark guy or something. I think, he got in an argument with Larry or whatever the deal was, and he said, I'll show you guys, I'll make you an advisory board.
No, that has,
Yeah,
the
you say,
code's the
okay.
exact same as long as I've been here 10 years, that's never changed. It's never changed.
Boy, I'd
Well-
like you to confirm that.
I can't tell you about the past, but I read it the other day, I know
I mean, I
this.
came in here accepting the chairmanship, thinking that we were no longer quasi.
No, the quasi-judicial hearing
Quasi-judicial.
and an advisory board are two different things. Do you understand what I mean? Two different things.
understand that. We thought we were an
Quasi-judicial is
advisory
just
board.
how you conduct your hearings. Do you
We
understand?
thought we were an advisory board.
Yeah, well, you're not a full advisor. Being an advisory board doesn't make it non-quasi-judicial. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do now.
And if you read, and you'll see the distinction is like, if you deny it, they appeal it. Now, when you approve it, okay, it's somewhat advisory, but council still under our charter has to vote for it. They could overrule even your decision. And they have to hold a full hearing there, but you're supposed to hold a hearing here. I mean, I always recommended that because when the case goes to court, the testimony here is gonna come up just like the testimony there.
Great.
Yeah.
Whew.
The board would like to have a meeting prior to, you said the council meeting, which is on the 26th. I don't know if we have a workshop planned for prior to that, because we haven't made any decisions yet, but they would like to meet to be able to allow Mr. Franco to have time to look at the minutes and to look at the resolution so that they can come back and approve the minutes or change the minutes
Yeah,
and the resolutions.
I guess,
Well, we can't change the resolution, I don't.
well, the resolution is up to you. The resolution is supposed to be your resolution reflective of your vote. Now, you still have to approve the minutes, okay? And you gotta go, that's what I did to prepare the resolution. I just looked at the votes. I didn't look at everything else, because until you put it in the motion, it doesn't mean anything.
We understand that.
Yeah.
But we can't change the resolution.
Well, if we haven't
You
approved
could
it.
change the resolution, but I just took the resolution from the actual,
I understand what you did.
Yeah.
Can we change it or not?
the resolution, absolutely. You
Is
can't
there
cha-
We can add the conditions that we'd like.
If that's in your vote.
I'll say
You can
this-
change this, but this has gotta reflect your vote.
I'll say this again. That's written in stone or not?
No, you can, this is up to you to prepare.
So at our next meeting, we can change that document to reflect
The vote.
a new resolution.
Yep, as long
And
as
vote
that,
on it.
as long as that resolution reflects the vote.
If you said fix something and I did it, like your conditions on the first the first one that we went over that night, there was conditions to add landscaping, possible swales. I reflected that, which is in the resolution, because that was in your vote.
Yep.
But say I missed that you said, I want you to plant an apple tree in the middle of the parking lot.
Sure.
And I didn't catch that.
Okay, so we can be more
You can
precise.
amend it because I didn't
You can
catch
change this
something.
all day long, but this has to reflect your vote.
Hmm?
I think it does, because I read the votes.
Yeah.
I'm still not
So,
a typical
he's
lawyer.
asking, can he change these regardless of what the vote said? Can he still change them?
Yeah, the question is, can you change these? Yeah, let's just
After
change
the
them. You can
vote.
rip them up, do whatever you want. When you say, can you change them? Can you change your vote? No, this reflects the vote.
So then the answer is no.
The answer is no, the answer
All
is,
right. That's what's good.
I guess, you gotta remember, when you say, can you change them, she just explained to you, you can change these. In case they're wrong, it says, well, I'll show, yeah, look, this says comply with drainage requirements. Did you say drainage, or did you say full drainage requirements? Well, if you said full drainage requirements, you can change this. Got it?
And then vote
In
again.
other words, I put in here, though not limited to swales required by, is that exactly, it was a little hard to understand the motion. Though not limited to swales required by city or state government entities, you really didn't say that, but I thought that's what you meant. But if that's not what you meant in the vote, you can change it. But this must reflect the vote. So you can change this, but it must reflect the vote. That may seem very technical
Keep
to you,
saying-
but
Yeah.
you say, can you
Is that
change
clear as
it?
mud?
I'm telling you, you can change it.
Right.
Yeah, you can change it,
Yeah.
but you'd better reflect the vote.
So then we vote
It's-
again.
It's a good point, because when I put in the sidewalks, I know it listed as going down Old Post, but actually it's to go down the alleyway down to Treadway.
Yeah, I don't think I got that one right, because I couldn't
Yeah.
understand it in the
Yeah.
motion, and you really should change it to make it look more
Yeah,
specific. And I think you meant that we should put it in,
Nope.
and they should pay, I
No,
couldn't figure
no,
it
as a matter
out.
of fact, I even apologized to him, because as a contractor, I hate it when cities would put responsibilities on me to do, which I didn't think was my job. However, you know, in this situation, just from a safety aspect, if nothing else, somebody has to supply them, and we, as a city, don't really need it. However, it will be needed when, because of their reactions of building that.
Correct.
So, you know, I think we're morally right to say, hey, you guys are creating this problem, you have to pay to fix it. We'll maintain it, okay? But, to put it in, that's on you,
Yeah, so in other words, that sidewalk is probably on city property, right?
of course, yeah.
Okay,
Be
well,
the
the
right
answer
way.
is, they will pay for the city to put in a sidewalk, they'll pay us.
Yeah, as long
Now,
as
that
they-
doesn't mean we even have to put in a sidewalk, but if we decide to, they gotta pay for it. I kinda thought that's what you meant, that's kinda why I didn't
Yeah,
put it.
it's just a safety down there, because,
Yeah.
you know, at nighttime,
If they're walking
that place
around.
isn't well lit.
Mhm.
And then, sometimes some of the people imbibe in a little bit of alcohol down there, so it's just, you know,
Staggering on the sidewalks better
Yeah,
than
but,
in the
well, those
street.
are all things you should do, that's right, yeah.
so.
Off the curb.
Yeah. That makes
Well,
good
let me ask you
sense.
this, Phil, let me ask you this, what kind of provisos were in there that you're concerned about regarding the other variances? that
They
you-
weren't part of motion.
No, but I'm saying, what were they, just generally?
Oh, in general, what I said
general.
was they promised us that they would have the plantings in the parking lot on the main building.
The what?
In other words, our code requires that there be divisional plantings
Plantings, okay.
within the parking lot.
Right. Islands.
We agreed to let them not do it in the auxiliary parking lot,
Right.
but the discussion was, you are doing that in the main parking lot. Oh, absolutely, was his response. We did not include that in the
Well,
motion.
did you have a duty to do that anyway?
We would check that in the site plan development as well. They have to submit a landscaping plan. All of that stuff has gotta get checked through the building department.
So in other words, if you said he doesn't have to put the islands, which is what makes the plants
Right.
go in there, on that parcel, but he has to do it here. Do you understand? I mean, that's our code.
He's gonna have
You
to.
gave him a variance, so he doesn't have to do it there, doesn't mean
But he already knows he has to here.
has to here,
Right,
sure.
we're just varied.
That's why these are separated into 6 with parcel numbers, because they're gonna be filed against the parcel.
Correct.
And that's why we have our approvals that are needed to do it anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
they're still gonna have to get probably, what, 20 different approvals for
Yeah,
a
I mean,
house.
like when the builder stands there and says, well, I'm gonna be doing that over there, well, if that's what the code says, we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
You know, we don't want you to think that if we give you a variance not to do it here, you
No.
don't have to
No,
do
no,
it
no,
there, you don't have to
no.
worry about that.
But
And this is
we-
about as complicated as it gets, you got, 3 parcels over there and 1 parcel over there.
Well, I think they kinda like a shotgun type thing. See which ones will stick, which ones will go through.
All
I
you do is
understand what
say
they're doing.
no,
Plus, it
right?
costs them a whole lot less that way too.
What's that?
I think it only costs them $500 to go for like 6 variances or something.
Yeah,
So,
put them all in at once.
yeah, I understand what they did and why they did it.
Mm.
Who pays for the advertising?
They do.
Yeah.
Well,
And the
we
advertising, it's
collected
now like
yeah,
$1,000, by the way.
We collected 1,000 from them,
Oh, okay, for the
because we
pub?
put it on 2 applications.
Yeah.
Plus
And
the
I know
advertising,
that
the
we-
advertising, how much, 1,000 each now?
No, it was 200 and
Okay, it's
something
cheap.
dollars
It's
for
going up
each
every hour.
advertising. And then the mail to send out the certified mail.
Could you just put it on Facebook or
We
something?
paid for that. We
Not
paid
yet.
for that, all out of,
Not yet,
all
I
out of
hope.
that money, we paid for that. Yeah.
But we can in fact include some of the, what I consider to be missing items in the transcript, that were in the video but not in the written.
Yeah,
You're
okay,
saying
if you're
differently
concerned
now.
that you've passed something, but.
Not passed.
Yeah, I got it.
Right.
And you wanna go back to the minutes and put some more specific things in there to somehow, number one, you could tell council, do you understand what I mean? Hopefully you'll stand up at the council meeting and say, look, there was other discussion here, I just wanna tell you what they are, and I'm sure Mr. Booth will say, well, you didn't put it in your motion or whatever, but at least they know you can do those things. You should do those things, in all openness and fairness, whatever they are.
The first suggestion we got was the audio video takes precedence over the written. You're saying no, you're saying yes.
No, when you say takes precedence over it.
In other words, that's the final document that a court would look at.
A court into evidence will look at everything. I mean, you
Okay.
gotta remember, the minutes get approved by you, they're gonna look at that, they're gonna look at the motion more than anything. But if the court wanted to know what the underlying comments were, once you get to the motion, the comments mean nothing. The minutes mean nothing, the comments mean nothing. The only thing that means something is the motion, and the minutes to reflect the motion. That's why the minutes become, the rest of it, that's all conversation. And if people make promises, they don't mean anything unless you put a proviso on it.
Good education for us tonight.
Yeah,
Well, I'll tell you
I hate
that.
to lecture, but
No,
believe me, when I
No,
did
no,
this,
we've
when I,
been waiting for somebody.
yeah, in Philly, I used to do these and go before the board, they'd have a proviso sheet when you were standing there, cause they do 100 of these in an hour, you know what I mean? What variance you want there in the corner of, whatever. Okay, you're gonna use
I'm from
4x4
Philly,
wood
that's
over
why.
there, proviso
I know,
1,
that's right.
proviso 2, and they're filling out the resolution sheet. The board would be sitting there saying, make a note of that, clerk, and then they'd read, the motion is with the following, to approve the variance of the following provisos that we just listed, 7, next. So they do it when people put a deck in their house or a row house or something.
Aren't you gonna move from this chair to that chair and be our lawyer? Is
We're
it-
hoping that's gonna happen.
Yes.
Different situation.
You know, I apologize that, you know, as this thing was developing, these ladies here have not been taught, you understand what I mean? I think she's had no boss.
There is no reflection on them
Yeah,
doing
fine.
something incorrectly.
Yeah.
It's just like we did something incorrectly, we weren't advised correctly. They're not being advised
No, I
correctly
appreciate
either.
you pointing out, because we didn't have it posted right. I think, wasn't it your email? that
Yeah, it was
pointed out?
me. I don't know whether you saw that. The reason the meeting was canceled for this hearing, they never posted the property
Oh,
with the variance sign.
right, right.
I kept driving by saying, is this it?
Didn't see it.
Then I had a for sale sign. I called and they said, of course it's for sale.
Well, you know, that's, that's how I found out, it was for sale, and I went in and started giving you an email saying, it doesn't make a difference if it's their for sale sign, they're the owners or the agents of the property, they have a right to leave it for sale, so they could be selling it in the middle of the process,
Yeah.
doesn't make a difference, so I was kind of writing that, and that's when I turned and said, well, we posted it, right? And, that's, yeah.
And
Exactly
it's
what I.
unfortunate, because we can't advise you.
Yeah, we understand that too. Hey, you guys got enough work.
Yeah, and do you fill out the financial forms in this board? You're the only board that does, right? The F1 forms?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, you're the only
Yeah.
board that does that. This is the only board that you can't sit on another board. I
Yeah,
think
we
that was
understand
Dennis,
that.
right? You were on another board? Yeah, this is the most important board in the city.
Well, we always understood that, but we thought that was taken out from under us. Or that's what I believed.
None of that changed. I mean, you know, Joe Pollack and I both agreed that it should both be done as a quasi judicial hearing. It's very important, do you understand? There's a lot of money at stake, you know. The point is, council, they get a de novo, a new hearing before council, so in some ways, whatever you do, they can overrule. A lot of cities don't operate that. You're the final word.
We used to be the final word years ago.
Yeah, before my time, yeah, probably.
I know, I've been here 32 years.
Yeah. Board of Adjustment is, it's the most important, you determine the, you know, how a city's gonna look. If you wanna grant variances for everything, go ahead, things like that, sure, what's fair and unfair.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
On this site, Washington here, isn't it, being that you've been around, wasn't somehow the property was supposed to have like a 10-foot easement or something for that belonged to the city? So that they could put in
I
a,
know what you're talking about.
Okay.
You're talking about that little strip of land there?
yes.
Yeah, I looked it up. Was I doing that with you? Because when they initially came, when I first came here 2 or 3 months ago, I knew that, I thought that'd be an issue.
Yes.
Apparently, the city street goes out, let's say 30, 40 feet.
Okay.
The city street is actually 60 feet, okay, and that's the right-of-way, as we call it. You know, people, we cut some right-of-ways, some, you know, residents do. But over there, the city street ends here, and for about 4 feet is city property. And for some odd reason, that parcel was cut inside that, so there's a strip of land that goes
Correct.
all the way around that is city property. And I always wondered what they were gonna, if they're, when their site plan comes in, it'll probably be 4 feet short, but you're not gonna notice it because normally there's 8 or 10 feet past the edge of the roadway.
Yes.
Now it's just gonna be 14. I always
Okay.
wondered about that. Yes, that's technically city property.
How'd you pick it up?
I'm more knowledgeable than
Yes,
you know.
no, that's right. I'm very impressed
for
with that
you.
because there had been
It's okay.
conversations years ago about making that a park or something.
Exactly,
But that
yeah.
strip, that piece goes around, it's bigger somewhere else, you know?
Right.
And I'm not sure where that came from or how that happened. There's a lake out there, you know,
Right,
on,
yeah.
I guess, the north side of that
Mm-hmm.
property. And the 2 entrances will be, you know, to the middle and to the
Mm-hmm.
right.
Did they
And
condition-
I actually wanted to resolve that and see if some way we could give that to them because I don't want the city to own that strip. It doesn't do anything for us. That's creating
No.
liability.
Right, that was my thought. I didn't want to bring it up because I didn't
Yeah.
know if we were all on board with it, and so I wasn't sure what that was about. But I do remember finding that when I was,
Yeah, I don't know if it's on, is this their site plan? This is their, yeah, this is their site plan. No, but it's on the surveys. I've seen it on Mike
Yes.
Wilson's site. I've looked
and
it
I
up.
think it was intended for us to be able to put sidewalks or make it back to a park or some sort at one point, and city never did anything with it, but we're still liable for that much of it, or,
Well, not only liable for it, you gotta remember, that when they leave their property, they're coming across city property to get to the roads. We can't stop people from riding on our roads, but we can put a gate there.
you're right, because
Wouldn't they
problems.
wanna at least petition for an abandonment right away?
It's not a right of way, it's literally our property.
Yeah, it's our
You understand what I
property.
mean? And I guess, you know, it's just that we could make our street wider, it's just that we
Yeah.
have ordinance our wider. Is it on there? Yeah, you gotta look at, we have
Yeah,
something
I
in the
don't-
city that shows, it's about 3 feet wide, I don't know why I knew that. I think someone had proposed making it a city park once, if they found it out.
Yeah, I think somehow, however, they came about the city when it was, I mean, the property, and when it was picked up through, I don't know if it was donated or whatever the cause was, but there was always that clause that said,
Well, now I remember what happened, I'll tell you exactly what happened.
okay, Mr. Carter?
About 11 years ago, the city entered into an agreement for sale, when we had a lawyer that just came on, entered into an agreement for sale to buy that property that had just been foreclosed upon. There was some odd issue with it. The city entered into the agreement with them, but council hadn't approved it yet. And it became very contentious whether the city could get out of the deal or not. I don't know if you remember that, Phil. But, and that's the first time that issue came up.
Okay.
And the city was ready to buy that as a park.
Right.
Keep it as a park. And the city got out of the deal, and it may have had something to do with the foreclosure process there or something. That's when it came to it.
Okay, so yeah, that's,
One of the other issues with it was years ago.
Yeah, no,
Long,
it's
long
just,
time ago. There was actually a ditch diagonally through that property, and they were worried about some environmental issues.
yes,
with
somebody else,
fill and
right.
whatever might have been put in there to fill the ditch up.
Yeah, there's a reason it's that way, you know what I mean? I don't know why.
well, are we, gonna have to make this an issue?
No.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I'll go in there as they're going through the process with the engineers and have them look at that, to somehow maybe just give it to them. You understand me? So we don't have it anymore. And, sit there, because it's not just the skinny, it gets a little fatter over there.
Right.
Whether we really want that or not. You gotta remember, people are gonna be driving their cars across our strip of land, you know? And then we don't need the liability. Just as soon probably give it to them. They might not want it. I'm more concerned about where they're gonna put their fence.
Right,
Their
That's
what?
the fence,
Their fence.
yeah. Yeah, I thought that if that's our property too, their
Well,
fence
it
wouldn't
might look a
go.
little silly, their fence being 4 foot back, when you say, why is that so? In other words, when you get down to, Cody River, is that where it is? They're gonna have a fence out front. Then when you get down here, it's 4 feet back,
Mm-hmm,
when they get past Park, right?
mm-hmm.
It's like, why is their fence so far back? You know, if they put
Because
one there.
the
That's what I was
property.
more concerned about.
Okay. I was just gonna, yeah, just interested because I knew, some about it, but didn't know much more.
Now that you've brought up this, having a proviso sheet, is that something we can implement?
Sure,
Good
yeah, to be perfectly honest, I'll make that up.
Good
Remind me
idea.
tomorrow. Yeah, it's
Sounds like
two
you
things
have
that,
to keep track of things.
sure, I was explaining to the clerk that, you know, when you're taking these minutes, she spends tons and tons of time doing this, is you put a voting slip. You have all the 5 council people, or here's your voting slip. And whoever makes the motion, you put an M next to whoever seconded, put an S, and just write the motion down, you understand what I mean? And that's it, that's your minutes, you know, you don't have to do it. And then with regard to a proviso slip, yeah, you bring it in with the resolution, the provisos. And then as you're having conversation, this is how we do it in Philly, you're having conversation, so make that a proviso for the motion.
Yeah, yeah.
And you have a list of 20 things, you want us to waive something? Well, we're gonna want you to do A, B, C, D, you know, make it look nice, do all these kind of things, if you want us to do that. Okay, I make a motion, what are the 5 provisos? 5 provisos about the motion, that's what you do. That's the way it works.
Excellent.
That's the way you're supposed to
Thank you.
function.
Thank
I'll
you.
make that up, remind me tomorrow, I'll be doing all that.
Well,
Yeah.
It's certainly been the most
Yes.
we've learned.
And the best part about that is when people want something, they'll say, you know, oh, we'll do that landscaping, we'll clean that up. Make them.
Yes.
You know, if you, look, they want something from you, it's either, because they want to save money or they, or whatever, and the answer is, you know,
Sure.
okay,
Right.
okay. You can make it architectural, anything else. Well, if you're gonna build anything I wanna be able to do this with the land. Well, if you're gonna build there, well, you gotta make sure it's brick, you know, whatever. I can't think of a good example. Yeah, I'll make it a proviso sheet, sure.
I'll
Any
make
other
a motion.
questions?
Yeah. No.
Any other advice we need? or
Are we,
anything?
for this next meeting, I've gotta leave, I gotta be in Quantico next month. Is this something that, they need 6 of us?
What's that?
Just to go over,
We have to have a quorum. As long as we have 4.
Okay.
This is to do
I
what?
thought it was 6 either or.
This is so that they would like to have a meeting prior to the next council, on the 26th, they'd like to have a meeting before regular council starts. So that they can either approve or deny the minutes again, or see if we've left anything
Yeah,
out of
sure, I recommend that,
resolutions.
that's fine. Schedule it as best you can, whatever.
Okay.
Okay.
We don't need.
Board of Adjustment meeting? No, that's just having a meeting, no.
No, we don't have to advertise that.
We're not advertising, no, we're bringing the applicant, you're just technically having a meeting to approve the minutes. You could always do that.
Good. Appreciate it. Thanks,
I
everybody.
mean, you
It's
post it on the front
been-
door and put it on the website.
enlightening. Jim, thank you.
Yes,
How you doing, sir? See you up there.
So we did adjourn?
Yeah, we already adjourned. Pat, thank you.
This is all.
I was glad he was here the other week, too. Thank God he